Hello everyone, it's Thursday, I'm DeGraft and this is Newsround live on CBBC. First up today, we start with a question. Where does America go from here? It's one many people around the world are asking after supporters of Donald Trump tried to use violence to overturn the result of the election he lost. The capital of the USA, Washington, D.C., was thrown into chaos yesterday when a crowd of President Trump supporters charged into the centre of American democracy. Now, Shanique will be joining me to help explain why it is being seen as a big moment. But first, this is what happened yesterday. This is the moment armed pro-Trump supporters pushed their way into the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., the place where the politicians elected by the people of America carry out their work. They were meeting to confirm the results of the 2020 election, which Joe Biden won. It's the final step before he is inaugurated and becomes president in a few weeks. Earlier, the current president, Donald Trump, had spoken to thousands of supporters in the area, repeating false claims that the election had been rigged by the Democrats and what he called the fake news media. He was then urging them to show strength and march to the Capitol to protest the election result.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
After he had finished, a large group of his supporters surrounded the Capitol, bringing down barriers and climbing walls, forcing their way past security. Some of the Trump supporters were carrying guns and other weapons. Once inside, they chanted, "We want Trump," through the hallways, and the DC National Guard was sent to help at the scene. US lawmakers and journalists had to be taken to safety, and the process to confirm the results of the election was delayed. The violence continued for hours as protesters clashed with police. One woman was shot and killed, and 3 other people died. Joe Biden, who would be the next president, looked shocked as he told people who had broken into the building to stop immediately.
Call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege.
President Trump did then appear, but although he told his supporters to go home, he repeated claims about the election and he did not criticize the actions of the people who broke into the Capitol building.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special.
What happened yesterday has shocked America and the world. It's leaving many people asking where the USA and its democracy goes from here. Well, clearly yesterday's events will have a huge impact on the politicians in America right now. And we're here to explain why this is so significant. Shaniqua joins me now to help us understand it all. Good morning, Shaniqua.
Good morning.
Now, Shaniqua, in DC, there have been riots and protests in the past. But what makes yesterday's one so important?
Well, the actual building they broke into is where the US government are based. So it's similar to the Houses of Parliament in the UK. Now, Americans see it as their home of democracy. So for many people watching, it was shocking to see people, some of them armed, breaking in.
Now, we know that the protesters broke in around 7 p.m. yesterday, but loads of people are going to be sat at home wondering why yesterday in particular was so important.
Yeah, well, yesterday was a special day for the US government as the members of Congress were there to certify the election results. That means politicians were gathering to confirm that Joe Biden had been elected as the next president. Usually, it's a straightforward process after the people of America have voted. But since the election in November, President Trump and some of his supporters have been saying that he won and not Joe Biden. Now, they've never given any evidence or proof that there was anything wrong with the election, but some of Donald Trump's supporters have become angry at what they see as a stolen election.
Now, you mentioned Trump just then, and some people will be asking, well, what did President Trump actually do?
Well, first of all, he spoke to a crowd of protesters and told them to go to the Capitol building. Now, many people who broke into the Capitol building have said they were inspired by Donald Trump's words to break into the building. After they broke in, he didn't say anything for a few hours. He did appear in a video and told the crowd to go home, but the fact that he repeated his claims that the election was stolen and didn't criticize the break-in to the building led many people, including from his own party, to say it was too little too late. And last night, Twitter locked Donald Trump out of his account and deleted some of his tweets, saying there was a risk of violence.
Right, Shaniqua, I've got a big question for you now. What happens now?
Well, as we speak, politicians are back in Congress finalising the result of the election. And on the 20th of January, Joe Biden will become the next president. So the crowd of Trump supporters have failed to change the result of the election. But perhaps what's more important is how Americans see their country and how the world sees America after this. And the USA is a powerful country. So what happens there affects people all around the world, including here in the UK. Now, Americans are proud of their democracy, and the way that after the elections there is a peaceful handover of power from one person to another. Now, Joe Biden has promised to bring the country together after this, but what happened yesterday is another sign of how difficult that's going to be.
Well, thanks so much for that, Shaniqua. And remember, guys, as always, you can head over to the Newsround website where we've got a full guide to the events taking place in America. And we'll keep you updated throughout the day with all of the latest news. OK, moving on now. Let's take a look at what else we've got coming up today. And it's coming back. Clap for Carers becomes Clap for Heroes. Manchester City reached the Carabao Cup final for the 4th year running. Now, last year, many of you may have taken part in Clap for Carers, and tonight it returns under the new name Clap for Heroes. The weekly applause is aimed at recognising carers, teachers, homeschooling parents and all frontline workers. The idea of clapping and banging pots from doorsteps originally began as a one-off to support NHS staff, 3 days after the UK went into lockdown for the first time. Finally, last night, Manchester City beat Manchester United 2-0 in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. The winner takes City through the final for the 4th year running. Goals by John Stones and Fernandinho secure the win for the Blues. City will now face Tottenham in the final in April. OK, that's nearly everything for today, but just before we go, let's take a look at some of the other top stories on the Newsround website. We've got NASA's new high-tech plane that sets off takeoff in 2021, and Marcus Rashford has been named as the most expensive player in the world. I'll be back tomorrow morning. I'll see you guys then. Bye.